Hello and welcome to Flaunt. Find your sparkle and create a life you love after infidelity or betrayal. I'm Lora Cheadle, and this is going to be a really special show. And depending on how much I end up sharing and how much time it takes to tell the stories, it might turn into a couple of shows. I'm not really sure. But what I am here to share with you is truly going to change your life. And I'm not saying that lightly. I'm not saying that tongue in cheek. This absolutely will change your life. As you may or may not know, I just got back from 2 weeks in Egypt, and it was an incredibly profound experience. And yes, of course, I went for me, but I went for all of us. I went for all of us because healing from betrayal is my passion. It's my life's work. It's what I came here to do. And part of the reason that I wanted to go to Egypt was to learn all of the different tools to heal betrayal. And what I really learned was healing betrayal takes place on an energetic soul level. It's not something that we just heal in the mind and we move on from. It's something that needs to be addressed on the soul, on the energetic, on the ancestral level. In last week's show, I talked a little bit about that. But in this week's show, I want to go through all of the details of all of the experiences that I had that led me to that understanding. So, yeah, I have my little agenda right here in front of me, and we're just going to go through it because this was profound and it's going to be profound and life changing for you too. Okay, first, this group that I went with, this was a group of spiritual luminaries. And they went because they were going to be filming a documentary on some of the power spots in Egypt, some of the mysteries of Egypt. And we went along to experience that and to have our experience. In part, it wasn't documented by them, but it was documented by us. So we can lend credence and credibility to what happens in those different locations on the planet, and then also to share our experiences with them so they know where to go deeper. The trip began, it was called Returning or Finding Zep-Tepi. And when I first heard that phrase, I was like, what is Finding Zep-Tepi? I have no idea. What is that? And basically, what Zep-Tepi is, it's the origin point. So the intention of this trip was to find the origin point, to find where it all began. And immediately that captivated me because where did betrayal first begin? What is the origin point of betrayal? And it really got me thinking that there's so many different layers of betrayal. Where it began for me in my life is a lot further back than I probably ever recognized. Because when I started looking at and thinking about women and how women have been suppressed, oppressed, shut down, not only in my lifetime, but on the planet in such a myriad of ways, it really struck me at how deep betrayal is woven in the fabric of who we are. And when you think about finding Zep-Tepi, finding the origin point of that, that's pretty profound. So, what happened, the story around that is we went to this one temple, and this is not a linear progression. This was our third day of visiting temples. And it was on the third day that I had this big experience that I will share with you. But first, the first day, we went and visited the Isis temple. And the Isis temple is all about divine feminine, divine motherhood, sacred sexuality. It's about women. And I was expecting to have a more profound experience there than I did. I was expecting to be like, woo, female power, rah, rah, rah. I really feel this. And I actually felt a lot of anger there. And when I leaned into why am I feeling a lot of anger there? What came up was that women, if you look at the women at, when you look at like the stereotypes and the archetypes, we have maiden, mother, and crone. And as you might know, everybody loves the maiden. She's young, she's fresh, she's beautiful, she's in her prime. She's this beautiful budding sexuality. And I thought, wow, we all know our culture really leans into that. We all need to stay young. We need to stay fresh. We need to be sexually attractive. We need all of this stuff in the maiden. And then the Isis temple was about more motherhood and birthing. And I was a mother. I was a mother twice over. But what came to me at the temple is even though I passionately loved being a mother, even though that was a piece of my identity that in ways I'm not even ready to let go of, there's something destructive about keeping women in that motherhood mode. There is something destructive about keeping us in that nurturing role because it's all about us nurturing others. And when we are kept in that role for too long, it prevents us from moving to that third phase. It prevents us from moving to the crone phase. And the crone phase is all about wisdom. The crone phase is all about a reconnection, a return to our divine, sovereign, spiritual selves. It's about sharing our wisdom. It's about healing the planet. And it's about really stepping into us and our power. And when we're kept in that motherhood phase too long, it keeps us disconnected from our power. If we are told we have to raise children and grandchildren and great grandchildren, and that we're always here, that we always have to be of service in that way, it prevents us from sharing the deepest parts of us, our souls, our wisdom. It keeps us out of the crone phase and it keeps us in the mother phase for too long. And I felt a lot of rage over that. I still feel a lot of rage over that. Our power comes from our experience, from our story. What you've been through is what makes you who you are today. And just like I tell people when they see me and we work together around infidelity, that story is in your past. Don't keep it active in your present. Use the wisdom of that story to move on. Heal from betrayal, rise from the ashes, reclaim your divine sovereignty, and soar into the next chapter of your life, the next chapter that you are creating, so you can share your wisdom, your knowledge, your power. And when you're trapped in a mothering role, you are not a divine sovereign being. You are in service. And we can't stay in service of others too long or we lose ourselves. We can't stay in service to others for too long or we lose ourselves. That happened to me. It's my guess that that happened to you. It's my guess that it's happened to so many women on the planet because that's what's glorified. Motherhood is so glorified. Maidenhood is so glorified. And it's wonderful. It's wonderful to be the maiden. It's wonderful to be the mother. It's also wonderful to be the crone. I know that none of us like that word. I know that none of us are like, yeah, I want to be old and gray and wrinkled. It's, do I want to be in my power? Do I want to be in my wisdom? Do I want to truly be of service for myself and all of humanity? Heck, yes. Being the crone means putting the past in the past where it belongs. Stepping back into your power, coming back home to yourself and soaring into the future, rising from the ashes as the divine sovereign being that you are. And that's what came up to me in that Isis temple. Some rage that we weren't allowed to be a crone, that we weren't encouraged to be the crone, and how bad humanity has suffered because of that. Because half of the population is being kept from their power, from their sovereignty. And that when we serve the planet from that place of power and divine sovereignty, we're still serving other people, but we're not sacrificing ourselves. We're not sacrificing ourselves anymore. And that's what matters. That's where our power lies. That's how we rise from the ashes. That's how we serve humanity. That's how we serve ourselves. That's how we heal energetically. What was interesting about that too is that temple, the original temple, it's been moved. The original gate to that temple is submerged in water. And we took a boat out to that gate. And we did prayer, we did meditation, we connected with the energy of that gate, the energy of this initiation into Isis, into the divine feminine. And I kept thinking, how interesting is it that that gate is submerged? The true, connected, divine feminine has been submerged. I know, right? And that it's time to rise. I've said a few times here that rising from the ashes, but it's also rising from the depths of that water. Rising true feminine power up, no longer allowing it to be submerged and watered down, and to allow us to step into that next phase of life. And whether you're still in the maiden phase or you're in the mother phase, it doesn't really matter what phase you're in. Know that this crone phase is coming and don't allow yourself to be trapped. Don't allow yourself to be trapped. The maiden phase, I want to look good. You probably want to look good. I color my hair. I do beauty treatments. Like I'm not about being totally au naturel. But I also get that that's not who I am anymore. And that when I do that, I am doing certain things to make myself feel good and comfortable and confident. But at the same time, at the end of the day, I'm strong in who I am. And that was something that I went through in Egypt too. It's really hot. You're traveling. I want to be safe. I want to be protected. It's not about looking good. It's about experiencing things. And one of the experiences that I had was I'm in this group of 40 some people, and I'm not getting up every day and doing my hair and makeup and wearing fashionable clothing. And you know what? People still love you. People still talk to you. People still connect with you because it truly doesn't matter what you look like. That's, again, this whole lie that we have been told, that we have to look a certain way, that we have to dress a certain way. We don't. And it is affirming sometimes to be in experiences where you're like, I just have to show up. I have to show up being goofy or not put together. And people still respond to me because that's not what it's about. I feel like I could talk forever about the true divine feminine, about women as divine sovereign beings, about us not being submerged, not allowing ourselves to be watered down. That's the work of my book. My book is called Flaunt, Drop Your Cover and Reveal Your Smart, Sexy and Spiritual Self. And we could talk forever about that because that's what it's about. But for the sake of the show, I'm going to keep moving forward. But I just wanted to drop that was so affirmed and reaffirmed for me at the Temple of Isis, that feminism, women, femininity, all of that has been so hijacked. It's been so hijacked And we're told what it is when that's not what it is. And my lesson, my takeaway from that first Isis temple was how to walk away in my power as the crone, how to leave maidenhood behind, how to leave motherhood behind, and how, like I've said before, to rise from those ashes as the divine sovereign queen of my own life. So I can create the future in wisdom, in beauty, in justice. So I can live not only for me, but for the betterment of all of humanity without allowing myself to be submerged and held underwater. So the next day, we went to Abu Simbel. And Abu Simbel is the temple that's around divine masculinity. And I was curious what was going to happen there that day because I had such an experience with the divine feminine that I didn't expect. And when I got to Abu Simbel, the amount of power that was there truly makes your knees tremble because it is pure masculine power, which again is not the kind of masculinity that we have been fed. It's this beautiful, compassionate strength. The way I experienced Abu Simbel was strength, comfort, the kind of strength that you can rest in, that you can rely on, and that you will know all is well and everything is fine. And visiting that temple, I got this sense that there is more masculine in me that I have let come to the surface, that I am the rock that other people can rest on, that I have this strength and this largeness and this solidity in me. And it's not that I don't need to rest in others, but I am here to allow others to rest in me. And when I'm coaching, when I'm helping, it's my divine masculine that holds people because I'm solid, because I give you a vision. I help you find a vision, and I will hold that vision of yourself and your future, of your marriage, of your partnership, whatever it is. I will hold the vision for you when you can't hold it yourself. And I started realizing how much that was my strength. I have compassionate strength because I can hold big emotions. I can hold big fear. I can hold anything. And I hadn't ever identified that in terms of like divine masculine. And it felt really good to be able to step into that and then to internalize that and own that in me, that I don't need someone else to hold me. I've got myself. I don't need to rest in somebody else. I've got myself. And what I do for others, I can also do for me. What I do for others, I can also do for me. And that it's not about this fight. It's not that I'm taking betrayal on head on. It's that it's solid and it's steady and I am with it. And as I'm creating my future, I can do it with compassion towards me for the mistakes that I've made. And I've made a lot of mistakes. I don't have to be perfect. I don't have to be right. All I have to do is just allow myself to be compassionate and solid in myself, and it will all turn out. And that temple brought me so much peace around that. The masculinity isn't the warrior. It's not destructive. It's not harsh. It's incredibly compassionate. It's incredibly compassionate. So we left that temple and I thought, this is amazing. I feel like I have a new understanding of both divine feminine and divine masculine. Divine feminine is in phases, is in flow. And we need to move on to that next wisdom piece. And then that masculine piece kind of steps in. And I feel like there was that balancing of the masculine with the divine feminine, especially in that crone phase. Because it's women coming back home to themselves, breaking out of that maiden, which is the seeking and frolicking and playing, breaking out of that motherhood, which is in deep service to others. And it's moving into that wisdom phase where we're in deep service to ourselves. And we also have our own back. And I thought that's really interesting. I'm curious what's going to happen the next day, because that third day, we were going to visit two temples. The first temple was is called Komombo, and it's about the balancing of masculine and feminine. It is a two-sided temple where one side is feminine and one side is masculine. It's also a healing space. This is the temple, if you follow Egypt stuff, where the hieroglyphs have a catheter, like a modern sponge, all of these tools and implements for healing. So this was a place of healing. And I found it no coincidence that the place of healing was also the place where we balance masculine and feminine. And there was some interesting like balance metaphors that came up at that temple. And this temple is also where I found my own personal Zep-Tepi with Betrayal, which is what I can't wait to get to. Not only is it balanced left to right, the masculine side of the temple, the feminine side of the temple, there's also this hole. It's like a well. And when the river rises, the well fills up higher. And when the river goes down, the well lessens and it doesn't fill up quite as much. And that was the well that the tax collectors used to determine how much tax people needed to pay. If there was a lot of water in the well, they had to pay more because times were good. And if there was less water in the well, they didn't have to pay as much because times were bad. And I was like, that's an interesting way to balance it, because in Egypt, the Nile, when the Nile would flood, it would create this rich soil. And that's when they would grow these amazing grains. And that's how they fed their area, how they literally fed the rest of the world. So it makes sense. When everything is fertile and flowing and there's a lot of water and there's a lot of resources, of course we owe more taxes. And then when it's not fertile and things aren't growing and times are tougher, of course we owe less because we have less. And it was just such the perfect balance of, yeah, sometimes times are good and sometimes times are bad. Sometimes we have a lot and sometimes we don't have anything at all, but it's the flow. It's just reminding us of that rhythm. Walking in that temple, speaking of rhythm, between two stones, my friend called me over and there was a puppy. And I do mean a puppy, a fairly newborn puppy. And it looked like the puppy was dead. It was small, less than a foot long, maybe 6 inches, laying there. As we leaned in, we noticed there was a mother dog. And we thought, well, we don't want to, intimidate her or scare her or anything like that, but what's going on? Well, we started noticing the puppy was breathing. Coincidentally, she had an eyedropper in her purse. I have no idea why my friend had an eyedropper in her purse, but she did. And we had water bottles. So we started dripping some water in the puppy's mouth. And the puppy started breathing. And his little tongue started working. And we started feeding this dog water. And after a few minutes, the little puppy kind of made not really a bark, but like a little, and it got the mommy dog's attention. We're like, yay, we survived. We're going to save the puppy's life. The puppy's going to survive. Mama dog came running over. She nipped my friend in the butt very gently and started barking and telling her to go away. And we were like, back off. We're fine. You can take your puppy. And as we backed off, Mama Dog kept barking, kept very clearly telling us to leave her puppy alone. And then we left. But it was really interesting because, again, it was that balance. Is it life? Is it death? Did we save the puppy's life? Or did we extend a life that was going away? And mom was mad because she was standing guard over her puppy's exit. Did we do good or did we do bad? And it was one of those things that I don't know. I don't know. Did we save this puppy's life and now mom's going to go over and nurse because mom had a ton of milk and save this puppy? Or did this puppy need to go? Is this puppy ready to transition? Again, it's that balance. What's good and what's not good. So then this is where it gets really good. I sat down on a rock to kind of do a meditation because one of the things they asked us to do was when we felt called to go ahead and drop into meditation and just to see what was there for us. So I dropped into meditation and I was asking again this Zeptepi, where did betrayal first begin? Where did this first begin for me? Where did this first begin? How do I make sure that this is eradicated and pulled out of my energy field? Why am I here? How can I keep doing the work but not be impacted by it? So as I did this meditation, I had what I can only describe as a past life memory. Whether or not you believe in past lives, it doesn't matter. You can take it as allegory, as a story. You can take it as literal. It doesn't matter. Just take it for what it is. I remember being a little girl working in that temple. And that was a healing temple. There was a section for birth. There was a section for healing. There were all of these different healing rooms. And I was a little girl, and I had another little girl who was younger than me who helped me. And she was kind of like my apprentice, and I was kind of the apprentice to the healing people because we were in, that lineage. The older people were teaching me, and as I got older, I would learn more. And my friend who came with me, she was younger, and she would follow me, and I would teach her more. So it was this lineage that we would move through as we aged. We would do more. So the reason that I was there is my mother had died in childbirth. And my little friend, my little apprentice, her mother had also died in childbirth. And the belief at the time was when a mother died in childbirth, she had this choice that she could take her power out, her life force, and her life force would go out and she would put it in her daughter. So the children of the women who had died in childbirth were seen as having more power. We were seen as carrying more life force and carrying more power. And we were kept in that temple as healers. That's what us healers were. And that's why we were healers. We were healers because we had the life force of our mothers transferred into us. So we had more to give because we had more life force than just for one person. We had it for two. So that was why I was there. And that was the belief at the time. And that's why this whole apprenticeship, this lineage of healers. So something was happening. Something was happening that was bad. We were being attacked, or our temple was going to be attacked. Something was happening. And we had to get our healing tools, and we had to get the extra power, the extra life force, and we had to move it. We had to get it out before the people, whoever the people were, came and destroyed it and took it. And everybody in our area knew that we're a hospital. They needed us. They needed us. So we were trying to evacuate. And our power, our extra power, was stored in these beautiful glass vials. It's like when you see the Egyptian blown glass. It was this beautiful glass vial. And what we would do is we would put that vial at our belly button, and we would move life force into that. We would move the power into that vial. Then we would carry that vial to whoever needed it for healing. So if somebody's in the healing room and they need healing, I could take that vial of power, I could run it to that healer. That healer would place it at the navel of the person who needed more healing energy and would kind of like twist it, spin it, and that life force energy would go into the sick person and help heal them. It wouldn't completely heal them. It would help. It was just extra life force, extra power. So I know these people are coming. I know it's dangerous. I know I need to get my tools. I know I need to flee to the hill kind of behind where this temple was. I need to go hide. So I have this big, beautiful glass vial filled with power. I have collected it from some of the people. I have collected it, and it's my job to transport this vial up this hill so the people who are coming and attacking us don't get it. And it's a beautiful glass vial. It's got like these red twirls around it and these gold twirls around it. It's just beautiful. And as I have my tools wrapped up kind of in a cloth, and they're tied to me, tied over my shoulder. And then this vial, almost like a baby sling, is also tied to me. And I'm getting my younger friend, and she's got stuff. And I'm encouraging, come on, we gotta go, we gotta go, we gotta go. And as we start running up the hill, I see somebody that I know from our village, from our town. And he's a man. And he says to me, he looks me right in the eye. I have a very clear memory of looking at him in the eyes. And he's like, let me take that for you. You need to get her. She is more important now. She's little. She's going to slip. She's going to break her glass vial. Let me take this. Let me take this from you so you can take her, so you can get up the mountain, so you can get the tools. You too carry the power within yourself. Let me take this from you. And I looked at him, and I remember being so concerned. Is he telling me the truth? Because what he's saying is true. I need to help my friend. I need to get up there. The other healers need help. Time is totally of the essence. And I don't want to slip and fall and break this, because I knew I would felt shame. I knew I would felt guilt. I knew I would, if I ruined that for everybody, it would be awful. So I remember looking at him and unhinging the vial, taking it out of the sling. My chest hurts even saying this, and saying, thank you. Thank you. And then I grabbed my friend and I put my arms around her, and we started running. And we ran up the hill, and we were safe, and we met most of the other healers there. And then the next thing I remember is this realization coming over me that this man from our village, he was not our friend. He took the power for his own good. He took my power and he used it for himself. He took our village's power, our healing temple's power, and he used it for his own personal gain. And I don't know the specifics of that, because the next thing I remembered is we were living in this town and this temple was no longer in operation. We were not a beautiful healing temple. We were all living in this town, and sometimes people would call us to try to help, and we would do what we could, but we didn't have the power. We didn't have the power to help. We were in this town. And that he was then like this noble, and he had created all of this wealth for himself and all of this status for himself and for his people. And that they had taken over, and that it was no longer in balance. This temple was all about balance, and it was no longer in balance. It was hierarchy, and they were on top and we were on bottom, and they took my power. And I was so upset, and I was so horrified. And I spent the rest of my life being angry, being mad, and wanting to get my power back. But here's the thing. I wanted someone to help me get my power back. I kept talking to my little friend, come with me, come get our power back. This was wrong. This was taken. Come with me, come with me. And she kept saying, I can't, I'm too little. Just let it go. Just let it go. We're safe here. Just let it go. You don't want to make things worse. And I never did anything on my own. I kept trying to talk her into it, and she was passive, and she was afraid of power. Her response was that she was afraid of power. She never wanted anything to do with power anymore. And I desperately wanted my power, but I wouldn't take it myself. I thought I needed somebody with me. And at the end of that life, I never got my power back. And she never connected with power. She never healed, because she wanted nothing to do with power. and that we each had our own separate traumatic response that was different, yet equally debilitating in both ways. So in my meditation following that up, in my meditation, what I did is I was seen the image of that vial. And that's going to make me cry. But I took that vial, I took my power back. And that was the message, was it's time to take your power back, Lora. You don't need anybody else to help you. You don't need anybody else to go with you. That was your power, and you knew how to use it appropriately. And that gift was meant for you, and it's time to take your power back. And I did. In my meditation, I saw that vial, that red gold vial of power. And as I breathed, I took it in my arms and I put it back in my solar plexus, in my belly. And it took a while. It took a while. I'd have to breathe and I'd have to relax and I'd have to readjust my body. But I took my power back. I took my power back for me, by me. I didn't have to wait for anybody else. I didn't have to be afraid of power. All I had to do was take it back. And the message that I got is just that. It's so simple. When your power is taken away from you, take it back. Just go take it back. You don't have to wait. You don't need permission. You don't need help. When you're ready, take your power back. And I did. And it changed me. That's that healing on an energetic level that's so hard to put words around. But I feel this sense of strength. I feel this integration of the masculine and the feminine, and this power connecting me, that it is my power, and I took it back. And now I'm whole again. Now I am in that place of balance. I'm balancing the feminine, I'm balancing the masculine, and it's all coming together. And as I was sitting there feeling that and just being like, whoa, I think I look different. Why do I look different? I feel different. It dawned on me, the masculine temple, Abu symbol, that had been moved. The original temple is submerged underwater too. And I thought, oh my gosh, the Isis gate has been submerged, but Abu symbol, the original source of power, was also submerged. Divine masculine has been submerged. Divine feminine has been submerged. That, strangely, is equal. We have both been hurt. Men have been hurt, women have been hurt. We both need to rise. It's not just a woman thing or a man thing. It's a both thing. And we both need to rise. Not toxic masculinity, not toxic femininity, but we both need to come back, restore that power, and take our power back. All of us. People who cheat are not in their power. People who are betrayed have their power taken away. This is all of us. You can take your power back. It's time. The person who cheated on you, they need to take their power back too. Because it is not a powerful stance to hurt somebody and to abuse somebody and to do something like that. This is everywhere, and it's time that we all took our power back. Now, the last couple of interesting things about that temple. When I got done with that meditation, I had this desire to walk back to where the power used to be stored. Because I knew back along those healing rooms was where the extra power was stored. This will crack you up. So I get up and I walk back to where the power is stored. And sure enough, it's kind of like behind the temple in this interesting spot. Guess what's there? A power generator. I kid you not, the exact spot where I would have gone to access my power, there is a big metal power generator right there that generates the lights for the entire temple. I know, right? I took a picture of it. I'm like, you have got to be kidding. You have got to be kidding. This is where we would go to get the power. And there is a power generator there. And it cracked me up. It cracked me up at how playful the universe can be. Because infidelity is freaking awful. It is a horrible experience. Any kind of betrayal is not good. Having your power taken away in any source, in any age, in any scenario is not good. And it just cracked me up like, really, universe? And now you're going to put a power generator where the power is. And it just reminded me of the lightness, the humor of it, that it's awful and it's bad and it hurts, but you are still a divine sovereign being. The universe is still good. People are still good. You can still have joy. You can still have so much joy. Life is going on. We are no longer storing vials of power there. Now we have a power generator there. To me, that just showed so deeply that life moves on. And whether it's power in one form or power in another form, life moves on. And that, yes, my power was stolen from me way back in that Egyptian lifetime. My power was stolen from me when my partner cheated on me. My partner, did this to me. My whoever did this to me. I probably had many other lifetimes and experiences where my power was taken away. My judge story, when I had a judge berate me for having the nerve to win a case, yeah, that was my power being taken away. It's been taken away time and time and time again. And yet still here I am. And yet still here I am in a place of joy. Here I am traveling in Egypt on a spiritual pilgrimage. Here I am with people who like me, with people who love me. Here I am being able to hold space and serve others. Life is good. Life is still beautiful and it still moves on. So from there, the next temple that we went to is one of the temples that is the most complete temples there. It's called Edfu, and the Edfu temple is gorgeous. And I was so excited to see it because I was like, I really want to see that something that's most complete. It's balanced, it's whole. And I was so excited because I'm like, okay, the divine feminine, it was submerged. The divine masculine, it was submerged. But we came together. We came together in Komombo. We found this balance. We found this healing. I took my power back. And now I get the beauty of this temple. Well, it took stinking forever to get there. And there's these like roadblocks that you have to clear before a certain amount of time. So we ended up only having 30 minutes there, which was not enough time, not enough time at all. But here's what I learned from the experience there, from that amount of time there, is when you walk into perfection, that's all you need. This is the stamp. This is the like bow on the package. This is the icing on the cake. The substance is what matters. The substance is what matters. The understanding the way divine feminine was suppressed. The understanding the way divine masculine was suppressed, submerged and suppressed. The understanding of that balance, the understanding of taking your power back, that in that instant, it becomes beautiful. In that instant, it becomes healed. And that we don't need to spend all of this time mourning the past, pulling the past up, mining the past. in that instant, it's healed. In that instant, it's beautiful. And that we can go forward from that place of beauty, being balanced, being whole, being powerful, and being fully complete. And what I'd really like is for you to look back on your own journey. I want you to look back on the feminine aspects of you, the masculine aspects of you, the times where your power was taken, and to challenge you. Isn't it time to take your power back? Isn't it time to rise up? Isn't it time to step fully into your power to become a divine sovereign being? To become somebody who is creating beauty in yourself, in your life. It's all about justice. It's all about beauty. It's all about that growth. How do you create the justice for yourself? Thinking about the story that I was telling you about the river filling the well and owing more taxes, and then the river dropping down and owing less. How do you fill yourself up? How do you give more when you have more to give? And then how do you nurture and nourish yourself when there's not a lot there? How do you stay in that flow and stay in that power? How do you not get hung up on the time when the well is empty? How do you let that go and be like, okay, it's empty now. I'm in the dark night of the soul now. What can you do to stay in that place of trust and hope and knowing that the well will fill back up again? The well will fill back up again. And in the meantime, here's what I can do to return my power to me, to take back myself in my life. If you need help, reach out. We can just do a 1 hour session. We can do a 1 hour reading. We can chat with your guides. We can chat with your higher self. We can just chat with each other. I can lead you through a guided meditation. We can do a past life regression and connect you to your Zep-Tepi, to where betrayal first began for you. Because when you get back to the root, that's when you can pull it out completely. When we were driving home to the hotel afterwards, we went through the roadblock, the little checkpoint that I was telling you about, which is why we had to leave early. And what they did once we were clear to leave, I was sitting at the bus. It was like in a movie. They have this rope chain thing that goes across the road with all these balls with spikes on it. So if you're not clear, if you go to drive through it, all of those spikes are going to destroy your tires. Because we were clear, they go and they pull up this chain with all these spiked balls on it, and they move it out of the road for us to drive through. And the message that I got around that was, congratulations, Lora. You pulled all of those out. You went back to the beginning and you pulled all of that out. You found your Zep-Tepi. You found where it all began. And just by reclaiming your power there, you don't need to go through every other experience in this lifetime or others. You got the root. You got the deepest part. And now, congratulations, you pulled it up. You went back to the beginning and you pulled all up. And that's absolutely what I want for you. I absolutely want you to feel the way I feel now, with my power restored, with my strength intact, with a mental and an energetic awareness that it's over. Betrayal is over in my body. Betrayal is over in my mind. It's over in my energy field. It's not something that I am attracting, that I am a part of, because I got the root and I went back to the source and I healed it. I will be doing a group energy healing where we go back to that root, to that source. I don't have it exactly yet because I'm recording the show before the website goes up. So what I want you to do is just shoot me an email, Lora@LoraCheadle.com, LORA@LORACHEADLE.com. If you're interested in finding your Zeptepi, your betrayal origin point, and doing some healing around that, just shoot me an email and say, I want that. You mentioned it on your show, but I don't have a link. And I'll be like, here you go. We'll figure it out. And if you don't want to wait for that, you can just say, I want an appointment with you right now. And perfect. Let's get an appointment right now. Usually I can see people within 2 or 3 days. So if you're like, I'm all in, then I'm all in too. We've got it. Because it really does feel, it's hard to even put words around how it feels to have your power restored, to have that mental knowledge of, yeah, I went back to the beginning. And then to have that emotional knowledge that I'm not just cleaning things up, I've found the root and I pulled it out. Yeah, it's hard to explain because it's such a restoration. And just like I heard at that last temple that was perfect, that I didn't need a ton of time at, when it's perfect, it's perfect. It's healed, it's over, and poof, you are free. You are free to rise from the ashes. You're free to embody and become the divine sovereign queen of your own life. You are free to create and to become everything that you want to create and become. Lora@LoraCheadle.com. I can't wait for the next show because I only went through 4 temples here, and there's definitely more to come. So have an amazing week. And as usual, always remember to flaunt exactly who you are, because who you are is always more than enough.